break this down a little bit for the viewers as well, in case they haven't read the news. But today, a settlement, an agreement has been reached worth £1 billion for Manchester City in their fight with the Premier League. Man City have got the settlement, but the APT, so that is the Associated Party Transaction Rules, will remain in place. So some background in case people have forgotten. Man City challenged the Premier League's ATP rules, which were designed to stop clubs from inflating their sponsorship deals. I don't know which clubs were looking to inflate sponsorship deals, but some obviously were. So the Premier League had to put these rules in to stop people essentially cheating. An independent tribunal in February that had already ruled that these rules were void and unenforceable, because 3 of the 25 elements were considered illegal. I don't know if the word was illegal, but so they you wouldn't be able to enforce them. In March, City launched a new legal claim against the Premier League, so the second one, because the Premier League essentially amended the 25 rules to make sure they now complied. So they were void, they were not void, and they were enforceable. The City launched an attack on this and essentially tried to have the APT rules completely wiped out. However, the latest dispute, that case has now been settled. The Premier League informed clubs that the case has now been resolved without requiring another tribunal. City have accepted that the current APT rules are valid and binding. So City have now publicly admitted that the ATP rules are legal and above board. So City fans, you might still challenge it, but your club have said they are A-OK. On top of the Premier League have given City assurances that they will not be treated differently when securing sponsorship deals with Abu Dhabi-linked companies. They have a big deal worth about £1 billion with Etihad Airways on the horizon. That was blocked back in 2023. That's now going through. So that element is a massive win for Man City. Both sides agreed to end the arbitration and comment no further. So there will be no more statements. There'll be no more talking about this. That has also been agreed. The outcome, look, City got what they wanted in practice, the ability to finalize these big deals. The Premier League get to keep the APT rules formally in place. They will not be going. And this idea of the wild, wild west, that APT rules would go, FFP would go, that has now effectively been put to bed with this compromise that has been met. That all being said, my question to the panel, and I'll go to David first on this, is fiction or football? Where's the question gone? Have I lost the question after all of that? I'm so poorly prepared. Sorry, people. Where's it gone? My apologies. I'm going to go get it now. Terrible hosting by me. If only I could sack myself, I would. No, because I've changed it from that one. I changed it. Sorry. Fiction or football? Man City dropping their case against the Premier League in relation to Associated Party rules doesn't bode well for their 115 case. They would not concede if there wasn't something bad coming the other way. Football or fiction, David?
That's a lot of words that my brain cannot quite.
So essentially, City have only backed out because they know something negative's coming. They're going to lose the 115, so they've pulled away.
I'm going to go with fiction because I believe that Man City will get away with the 115 because they had all those lawyers. That image of all those lawyers and the Premier League having 5 and City had 50, ever since I saw that, I was like, there's just no way. And nothing has changed my opinion on it. I just think they probably done bad things. Yeah. Has my club done bad things? Yeah. Has United done bad things? Yeah. Has Newcastle done bad things? Yeah. Are we going to get caught for it? Probably not. That's kind of how it works. So, City I think City get away with it personally. They probably have done something, to be honest, but I don't think that case affects their 115 case, and I think their 115 case will just. I don't know. I feel like if we'd hear a lot more about it if they had done something seriously wrong and they were going to get proven to be found guilty, but I just think it's gone so quiet. So I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna explode into anything. It's no fiction.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, go on.
I don't know. I feel I'm kind of along the same line. I don't know if they'll get away with anything per se, but I do feel it's kind of unrelated. I feel like Man City, either which way, would have wanted this to have happened in it, because at the end of the day, Man City end up with this £1 billion sponsorship deal with Etihad for whatever reason. So I feel like no matter which way the 115 goes, if they're guilty and like they get relegated, well, they still have £1 billion of investment. They can probably come back from any sort of situation if they're forced to sell people. I don't know we're kind of guessing what the implications of 115 would be, but regardless of whatever the result of the 115 would be, having an extra £1 billion worth of sponsorship into the club itself is going to benefit the club regardless. So I feel like that's why I feel like it's disconnected in a way, because this was just a win for Man City and helps them in whatever way happens in the future. Because really, we don't actually know what's going to happen in the future, because the sort of width and breadth of the charges are from like literal fraud to some sort of money tampering, which could have very different kind of ramifications. One could be like a 100-point deduction, or it could be like expulsion from the league automatically, or it could be just fines. So £1 billion will somewhat help with whatever way that goes.
I don't think this was necessarily to do with Man City. I think a lot of it is what they've actually wanted to try and do to suppress some like us, because the main part of this APT is fair market value, which is basically, say if you go to get a deal in, say if we wanted a plumbers down the road, what a lot of clubs that they've distributed have done is included shareholder loans with 0% interest. So say if a club loaned this business £1 billion with a 0% interest, it's like just giving them the money of that and saying the business is now worth that, which then they can then put into the club. Which I think, because a lot of this ended up coming around the time that we got taken over as Newcastle from the PIF. So I think a lot of this was to try and stop us, and say obviously Chelsea selling like their own hotels and stuff like that. I think it was mainly to stop other teams from getting to the point where City was, because at this point, City have already done a lot of interesting things to get to where they are, with the obviously, which has been from
Are you saying City are already part of the cartel?
I think City have already done some interesting things, which is why they've got a 115 case, and I just don't think they want anyone else to be at the level that they are.
So I always ask this question when it comes to the APT rules, FFP, and no one ever wants to give it a direct answer. Maybe you will buck the trend, Ash. If APT rules and FFP and PSR are purely to stop teams like Newcastle earning 700, 800, 900 million a year, how have City done that without cheating?
Well, that's why I think there is a potential that they will. I would 100% say they have cheated. I'd say a lot of them have. And I think it's going to be very hard to dispute it. That's why I say 115. I think there's going to be a 0% chance that City will come out of this and not be guilty on some of those charges. There's too many of them for them to be able to get out of every single one. So every single club will be guilty of it. If we got up to the level where we could make $1 billion revenue or whatever and spend it all, which I'm not going to lie, we have extended our revenue quite a lot from a lot of places, like doing these overseas tours, like in Asia and everything. But there is a level to be able to get up there really fast, which I think the only way to do that is by quote unquote cheating. And if we did that, I would say that probably we did as well. And I wouldn't have a problem in saying that. I think
what are you saying about this quest? Do you think, who do you see this as a win for? Do you think the Premier League have won here? Do you think City have won? How do you look at this?
To be honest, I think it probably plays in City's favour that the optics are they've managed to hold the Premier League back, in a sense, like you've chased us, but at the end of the day, we settled. So if we're settling, you really have not managed to convince the people in a legal sense that we are the bad guys here. So I think they will feel like they've won. But there's a part of me that's like, I don't think it matters anyway, because I kind of look at this as this is City's way of saying we've paid our way in to the cartel, if you want to put it that way. This is our money under the table. Take it or leave it. And if you want to come after us, you can come after us. But you're gonna meet 50 lawyers and a couple of tigers, maybe 2. You're gonna meet everything, boy. We got everything for you. So I look at it just like City were gonna be good either way, but I don't think it matters because I'm not sure they're gonna be able to pump any more money into the club to keep them as successful as they have been, despite whatever this freedom gives them. I think the reality is once Pep goes, the whole thing is just going to unravel and they will settle back down to being a team that's around 5th, 6th, 7th, some years I could imagine. And every now and then they'll challenge for the title and every now and then they'll win a couple of cups and that'll be it. But I think just for the higher ups in the sort of City structure, they will feel like, yeah, like Premier League, you tried it. We didn't necessarily pull your pants down, but your pants are showing. So hold that. That's what I think.
Look, City have got some concessions in this, and they've got their deal to go through. A few people in the comments are saying it's a £1 billion Puma deal as opposed to with Etihad. It's not what I read in a newspaper today, but if you're right, then I'll stand corrected. I think for me though, they were put when you go back and listen to what sometimes you got to assess what football fans are saying, what the media were saying, what people were looking at. And a lot of City fans were very confident that APT would go, finish, staying. So from the Premier League's perspective, they get to keep their rules in place. Whether you think they've won or not, they save a lot of face because the rules that only a week ago City were saying were illegal, were saying were void and unenforceable, there's been no change to them. All they've told City is, we'll make sure we treat you fairly. All the rules for the second, so they won in the first court case. They got 3 elements of the rule changed. The rule got changed, and City tried to get the whole thing squished. Go back and read all the stories. City were trying to get it squashed. No more ATP. Now City are saying ATP's all good, man. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them ones there where look, City have won in the sense of they've got their real outcome, and this is the bit I find most beautiful. It's a thing of booty. So well done, City, for proving me, Mr. Terry Michael Flewers, correct again. I don't believe there are cartels. I don't believe there are long-standing allegiances. I believe that each member of the Premier League, all 20 clubs, votes and push for rules that best suit them. Now, I used to think in a very basic way. An owner like Roman Abramovich will vote for the rules where he can spend as much as he wants because he's ambitious. But Tony Bloom isn't as rich as him. So if Tony Bloom also votes for the rule where it's unlimited spending, it doesn't matter how well run Brighton are. There's 20 to 15, between 15 and 20 other teams are all richer than him. Therefore, it doesn't matter how well he runs his club, he's not going to be able to compete. So he has to vote for rules and push for rules that limit how much the richer people can spend to give him a chance of catching them. It's never about being unambitious. It's about understanding that Newcastle's owners make every other owner in the Premier League poor. They're worth more money than the other 19 combined. So I don't look at it as, oh, you're trying to stop us, Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle, you want the rules to change so you can stop all of us. Like, I'm not going to sit here and you're not going to be able to plead, oh, victim. All City have done is what's best for their club. And that's what I find beautiful, because what City have done, we want this gone. This is not fair on us. This is not fair on Newcastle, Everton, Villa, Forest. For a year, all those other fan bases have gone, oh, thank you, City. Thank you for helping us. The Prem have gone, we're keeping the rules, but you can have your deal. But you've got to tell everybody publicly that they're legal and they're okay and enforceable, and you agree with them. City gone, oh, we're getting what we want. Fuck off, Forest. Fuck off, Villa. We're in the club. That's the bit I find beautiful, because this whole time, that was the bit that was ignored by the media, by fans. No clubs are like, oh, we've got United and Arsenal have got to stick together. No, Man United and City have been on the same side for an argument for the past 12 months. Both our clubs, along with many others, are fighting against salary caps. So when I hear United fans go, oh yeah, Ineos and that just want to lower how much you spend, they're never going to spend big again, then why would they be pushing for no salary cap? It wouldn't make you. They just they'd allow it to happen. So then they go, oh, we can't pay anymore because there's a cap. People just don't do enough reading on these things. So listen, City have got what they want. The Premier League have got their outcome. Will it impact 1-1? Look, I got that comment. I'm not sure. It was Mark Goldbridge who said that, by the way. Maybe it does mean that. Maybe the Premier League are looking at this. Sorry, maybe City are looking at this and they're thinking, we've heard a few bad rumblings. Maybe if we do this and we get on the right side of the Premier League, the punishment won't be so bad. Potentially. But I'm going to go with fiction on that one right now. But when it comes to who's won on this case, I think it's a nice even score draw. The losers in this case are your Newcastles, your Aston Villas, your Forests, because Puma ain't offering them £1 billion, right? And Puma are I'm not saying companies from other parts of the world are not legitimate, but what I mean is the Sheikh Mansour don't own Puma. His brother don't own Puma. His cousin don't own Puma. It's very different from Newcastle turning up and saying there's this company in Saudi, doesn't have any employees, doesn't have any staff, doesn't make any products, doesn't have any services, doesn't actually have a website, but they want to sponsor the stadium £1 billion. It's you're not, the Premier League don't want those types of deals to happen. I agree with those deals not happening because it could leave Newcastle in dire straits if their owners ever pulled away. It'd be ridiculous to allow that to happen. And that's what those rules are essentially there for. What they're not going to do is to stop a team like City, one of the most successful teams of the last decade, getting good quality, high level sponsors from companies like Puma, from Nike, and whatever else it may be. So I think it's a win-win for all round, really. In my personal opinion.
Point of clarity, the sponsorship was from 2023 and it's from Etihad Airways and the First Abu Dhabi Bank, which is why it falls under the AFPT.
Yeah.
Because they have nothing to do with Puma.
Puma, comment from a Liverpool fan saying it was Puma, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a separate deal. That was just Puma doing the deal.
But even then, I do agree with the fair market value element because again, if a massive bank or a massive airline says we're going to sponsor Real Madrid for 10 years and it's worth 800 million, if they turn around and say we're going to sponsor City that are very successful, 800 million, we're going to sponsor Man United 750 million. Oh, we've got one as well. Aston Villa, yeah, what's your one worth? Oh yeah, 3.5 billion. It's like, whoa, what are we talking about? 3.5 billion. How are you selling that? That doesn't make sense. So I think there needs to be these rules in place. But yeah, do you guys feel a little bit Kane and Ash, obviously Newcastle fans, do you feel like your big brothers have let you down a bit here in City? Do you feel like you've been hung out to dry by them a little bit? Do you feel like they've stabbed you in the back a little?
I agree with the fair market value. I think that should be in because at the end of the day, if somehow we did lose like PIF or stuff or they didn't want to do anything, if we had a sponsor that's quote unquote $1 billion plus in revenue and all stuff like this, you would obviously you want to have your new owners to have some sort of like backing. We're not going to get thrown under the bus. So I get that point of view, but yeah, I think it's always a difficult one because at the end of the day, as Newcastle, obviously, I would love to be able to win the Premier League, but at the same time, as I understand, we're not going to get a sponsor that's going to be worth £10 billion that we could just get revenue and just pump into a new stadium and stuff, which obviously, which I will say, we do have plans to be getting a new stadium, which has been delayed and stuff, so I don't know if this could have potentially had an effect on that.
You know what? When the new stadium happened, because what's the reason you guys are the only club in England that's allowed to stick the away fans in the roof?
Do you know what? I love that. They're just literally 72 stories up in the air and they can't see anything.
And that's true. But again, I also think as well that does give you a little bit of an advantage
100%.
at home. And I hope there must be something. There must be an issue with the way your stadium is constructed that they're allowed to do it because nobody else is allowed. So that's the one thing I'm hoping happens when you get that new stadium is that, again, it will change the dynamic of your home games short term because you're not used to having like away fans pitch side. It really helps you guys create that crazy atmosphere.
I just hope we get, we get one of those, the beer things that Spurs have got where they put the glass on and it comes up through the bottom. I just want to get that because that'd be sick.
Poison is
very good. That'd be very good.